So in this video today, I'm going to show you how you can create a custom component, a reusable component, without actually using code. So what a lot of people don't know is that what underpins Next Experience is the concept of macroponents. And so if you were to go and create a custom component, most people think that you need to spin up on your local machine a development environment. You need to write JavaScript code. You need to deploy it to your instance. But these macroponents, what they are is they're pretty much exactly the same thing as a custom component, except instead of defining it with code, you're actually defining the component with metadata. And the way that you generate that metadata is using UI Builder. So if you go onto your instance, what some people have seen on their instance is this table called sysux macroponent. And when you open up that table without any filters, you'll see that you've got things like pages listed together with components and other things like primitives, and there's a few other types of categories as well. But this gives you a hint of the fact that a page that you create in UI Builder is kind of the same thing as a component as well that you deploy onto this instance from your computer with custom code. If we open up this component, for example, account hierarchy, you'll see that it's got some information about what the component is, and pretty much every single field here is empty except for properties, because obviously in UI Builder we need to supply this with properties. But then if we go back to page, you'll see that those fields are actually completed, or at least some of them are, including the layout of the page. So this kind of gives you a hint of the data model that underpins it all is the same. And so what we can do is we can use this concept to create, using drag and drop, custom components in UI Builder and reuse them across different pages. And this is something that's really become possible as of the Utah release, because in the Utah release, it's now possible in UI Builder to create and edit page collections from UI Builder. And what a page collection is it's as it says, a collection of pages, but you can reuse them across multiple different pages. And how you do that is through viewports. So there's a few different types of viewports in UI Builder. You've got the tab set viewport. So that's obviously a list of tabs, and depending on which tab you click on, it shows a different page inside there. You've also got a modal viewport, so that when a modal opens, there's a space for a page to be put into. And you've also just got a regular viewport. There's a regular viewport component that you can drag onto the page, and you can use these page collections. And say, for example, if your page collection has 5 pages, you could make a tab set with 5 tabs. Or if you're just using that page collection for a viewport component, you can just use selectively one of those pages in your page collection inside that viewport. And depending on what happens throughout the page, throughout your main page, you can show or hide different pages from that page collection inside the viewport. So let's see how we would actually create and do this. So let's go and create a new experience just as a test. So we'll call this one viewport test. I'll just use the regular breadcrumb app shell and click create. So I'll create also a page in here just for my test. Actually, we'll create 2 pages because we'll want to use a single page across these two, a single page in our collection, which is what we'll be calling a component, a metadata driven component in this case, across our multiple pages. So let's click on plus here and create 2 pages. We'll call this one just page 1. I'll create it from scratch and call it page 1. Continue. And just click through everything here and just create that. And let's go and create a second page as well. again from scratch, page 2, and click continue. Click through everything, and so we've now got our 2 pages. So let's open page 1 and we'll put that viewport component onto this page. So let's click add component, search for viewport. There it is there. And you can see it says no page collection has been added yet. So let's just hit save on that, and what we'll do is we'll go to our second page. So let's go to page 2, open up the default variant of that page, and let's add a viewport to this one as well. And that's done. So now I've got 2 pages with a viewport. Both of them are empty. I'll save this one as well. And now let's go and create our page collection that's going to contain, which we're going to link up to both of these viewports. So we'll click add here, and I'll click on create collection. Click new, and we'll call this one test viewport, or Dylan's test viewport. Component, we need to choose the reusable tabs. Record page tab, sorry. And the controller, we'll just use the form controller, and we'll set type as viewport and click on save. So we've now got our page collection created, which is actually what's called an extension point. So if we go back to UI Builder now, we can see Dylan's test viewport is here. We can click on that and go add and click save. So that's done now. We've now got that page collection linked with this viewport. And let's go back to page 1 now, and we'll go and link it here as well. So if we click on the viewport and we choose add, and we'll choose that one that we created earlier as well, Dylan's test viewport, and go add and save. So we've got that hooked up now. Now, how do we actually add content? How do we create our reusable component? And obviously we can just click add content, edit content there. And this will open up UI Builder in its page collection view. As you can see, a page collection is shared content that you can embed in multiple experiences. We can also access that if we go back to the home of UI Builder. Down the bottom now, you've got page collections, and you can see we've got Dylan's test viewport there. So we'll just click got it on that. And again, we've got to go and create our page. So a page collection can be used across multiple different viewports, and it can be used in different situations. A situation, as I said earlier, might be the tab set component. And so in that case, you'll want to have multiple pages inside your page collection. But in this case, we only want one because we're creating it just for the viewport component, just as a test. So I'll call this one maybe just hello world, for example, this page. Click continue, I'll click create, and let's just open up that default variant of the hello world page. And let's just put a simple text box or a text message onto this page. So we'll click add component, and we'll just search for stylized text, I think it's called, this one here. Let's just not use the preset, we'll just go none, and we'll just type in hello world, like that, simple as that. Actually, let's add an image as well, maybe. This one here, got it, and let's just maybe clear that one out as well. So use the defaults, there we go. So let's hit save on that, and it's as simple as that. So we've now got our page collection created with what we can call a reusable component that we've created just using drag and drop. So you can obviously make this pages or reusable component as complex as you like. You can use the styles, you can drag obviously a lot of different other components onto this page. But like I said, what we're doing here is we're creating a macroponent, a metadata driven or defined component. So now that we've done that, the natural thing you probably want to do is to test it out. But there's one last thing that we need to do. If we go into our viewport test experience, we've got those two pages. But what you'll see is if we open up one of these pages, if I click on open to test it out, it'll just be blank at the moment. No content available. So we do have our, if we click on the viewport, we do have our viewport here, the page collection defined, but you can see it's saying no content available. So why is that? The reason it's doing that is because we haven't actually said which page in our page collection that we want to display. So like I said, a page collection can have many pages inside it, and we need to tell this viewport which of those pages or routes to load. So that you can do that many ways, but it's basically done using an event. And the easiest way, because we want to do it when the page loads, we can use the page load event or page ready event to trigger that. So in UI Builder on this page under body flex, if I click on that one there and go to the events tab, I can add a page event mapping so that when the page loads, when the page is ready, it does something. And if we click on page ready, you'll see that one of the page level event handlers that we can trigger here is UXF macroponent viewport load requested. And so what this is going to do is that when the page is ready, if we can call this, and when we call this, it's going to say which viewport do we want to set this for, and for that viewport, what route do we want to trigger. So I'll just click on add on that one just so we've got it there ready. But what you'll need to do here is obviously you need to know what the name of the viewport, the element ID of the viewport is. To find that out, you can just click on the viewport here, and you'll see up here there's this automatically assigned viewport component ID, and that's all you need. That's how you'll identify the viewport, because you could have multiple viewports on a page, of course. So this will allow you to target which of the viewports that you want to set the view on. So let's go back to that event now, click on it, and we can update that here with the text in there. Oops, like that. And then the route as well. So we need to know what the route name is. So I'll just click apply on that and just go back to the viewport, open up this page collection. If we click on this one here, it should open up in UI Builder. And we'll be able to see, you can see there, it's simply just hello-world. That's what the name of the route is. And you can find that out more if you open up, I think under settings here, is it? Page collection. Yeah, well, anyway, that's it there. That's what you need to, can we click on that one? Yeah, there it is, URL path. We can just copy that. Go back here, go back to the event and update the route to hello-world. Click apply, let's save that. And now what you'll see is that when we click open, there we go. We've got our hello world and we've got the image. And this is on page 1, of course, page 1. What you'll see though is if we go to page 2, let's just double to page 2. We also, this one's saying no content available as well. So we need to update the page 2. So let's change over to page 2's default. Oops, let's close that. And then if we go into the viewport, again, we'll just copy that viewport ID and we'll go to the body. we'll go to the events tab. We'll add a page ready event, the UXF macroponent viewport load requested event, and we'll set the viewport ID here. So you can't just, as I said, copy and paste this code from page 1, because the viewport element ID on this page is different to the one on page 1. And the route, as we remember, was hello world. And we click add, save that, and we can go open. So we now, if we refresh page 1, you can see page 1, it's got the hello world, it's got that reusable component, and page 2 also has that exact same hello world reusable component. So let's go through and maybe just try editing that now. So if we go to the viewport, open up that page collection, open up the default variant of the hello world page, and we can do something. Maybe we can delete the image and maybe put a button on, for example. So let's delete this, put a button on just as the test. Call this one click me and save. And when we go back to our pages now, we can see we've got our click me button there on page 1. And if we refresh page 2, we've also got our click me button there as well. So I think this gives a really good example of how you can reuse, you can create a reusable component inside of UI Builder. And one thing that you may want to do next is, of course, any kind of component really is about you pass in properties into it and it changes its behavior based on what those properties are. So something that you may want to do in UI Builder is in your page, you may want to add some properties, for example, so you can alter the way that that this behaves, perhaps. So maybe you want this hello world text to be dynamic. You can do that with properties and bind the value of this text property to the property that you're passing in through your viewport. You obviously got a lot of flexibility there, but I hope this has been valuable, and please comment, please subscribe to this channel, and hopefully that'll encourage me to record more of these videos. All right, see you next time.